I will never forget the first day I opened God of War 1 and that I saw this legendary title screen. I will forever remember the Ghost of Sparta of God of War 3 that is waiting to finally accomplish his revenge. As you can see, the God of War title screen are extremely unique and specific of this franchise, and today I'm here to give my personal approach about each one of them. So in this video I will focus my analysis on the visual elements, the soundtrack and on the face model of Kratos, but on the other side I will not talk about the introduction title screen of 2018 and Ragnarök, considering that those main menus are unique to the opening of their specific stories. Indeed, it is logical that I have to do the same with 2018 and Ragnarök if I have to be just and accurate with all the main menus. So with that said, we can already start this ranking with the first game of the franchise, God of War 1. This is the title screen, the father of all those incredible main menus that we will analyze together. This is curious, but indeed the simplicity of the flames as the only visual elements of this background is more than enough to create the most iconic of all the other title screens. There's such a simplicity, but such a legendary atmosphere with those flames and their reflects on the head of the Ghost of Sparta. I don't grow up with the God of War games, but I can't imagine the gigantic nostalgic vibe of this title screen for the old fans. This is impressive how the flames and the static pose of Kratos has such a dynamic vibe here. I can also add that the shadow that's surrounding the Ghost of Sparta is so perfect and so accurate with his mental state. Of course, the soundtrack is amazing, the Vengeful Spartan theme is absolutely legendary here. Even God of War Valhalla used this iconic soundtrack. So I mentioned a lot of incredible aspects, but now I have to talk about the most important aspect. I have to talk about the aspect that touched me the most, and I'm talking about the amazing characterization of Kratos. Just look at his facial expression. His broken and destroyed face is so visible in this main menu. He literally decided to end his life at this specific moment because of the useless years of servitude for the gods that lied to him and betrayed him. He served them for more than 10 years. He hoped that the gods will help him erase his terrible memories of the past, but the gods didn't allow him to find the peace. In front of such deception, Kratos was about to end his life, and this is what this main menu shows. This is the only time of the franchise that we see such a desperate and beaten Kratos. This is really risky in a way, because this is such a unusual depiction of the character. The first time I played the game, I wanted to discover why this guy decided to end his life. This menu is the beginning of absolutely everything, and the result of such a choice is unprecedented in the franchise. The influence of this menu is enormous, and I'm really confident to say that this title screen is one of the best of the history of video games, without any doubt. So the God of War 1 title screen is a legit and well-deserved S tier. God of War 2. This title screen is iconic. In fact, I didn't grow up with the God of War games, so I didn't have a nostalgia or a personal attraction with this menu, but I recognize that this is still one of the most epic and iconic in my opinion. The soundtrack in this title screen is absolutely sensational with the really tragic and apocalyptic vibe. We can feel how the decision of Kratos to destroy Olympus will have a tragic consequences. We can feel the powerful and important aspect of this music. This is also the first title screen with an armored Kratos, which is insanely badass to see, and even more in a title screen. With this main menu, I want to start the game. I want to confront Olympus. I want to see the evolution between this character and this character. Of course, again, the soundtrack The End Begins is absolutely fantastic and helps a lot to create a real iconization here. This powerful and orchestral theme fits perfectly with this enraged Kratos that is ready to unleash all his rage on Olympus. In reality, this title screen is very simple here. There's no background and visual elements, but only the angry look of the God of War on his throne, which is more than enough to make this main menu absolutely legendary. I don't have more to say, sincerely. This is a really great main menu, but I have preference for the other title screen, so I will obviously rank this main menu in the S tier. God of War Betrayal. Now let's take a quick look of this Java game, and sincerely I appreciate this main menu. Here we got a pretty cool variation of the Vengeful Spartan theme of God of War 1, which is a pretty nice thing. This menu is very simple but nevertheless really effective and attractive. The background is really cool with the face model of Kratos from God of War 1. Yes, this is a pixel variation of the first title screen. This works very well and this is really inviting in my opinion. Of course, this is not an original main menu, but for what it is, I actually appreciate this menu and its existence. So this phone game can easily go to the beach here. This is a reused title screen, but it works really well with this unusual format. So yeah, beach here. God of War Chains of Olympus. The first God of War spin-off. So what can I say about this menu? First of all, I really appreciate the background with the city of Attica and the Persian invasion of the beginning of the game. I really love to see the warrior side of Kratos, that is indeed accentuated in this menu with the soldier aspect of Kratos. The dynamic and the intensity of the background is really great. The soundtrack, however, is fine. This is certainly the title screen that I appreciate the least. This music is again a variation of the Vengeful Spartan theme, but with a really aggressive tone in terms of sonority. In fact, this soundtrack is not the worst aspect of this menu, but the biggest issue to me is actually the face of Kratos that seems really bizarre and confused. Chains of Olympus Kratos is to me the worst 3D model of Kratos, even if he successfully achieved to give a lot of emotions in the game, which is a true paradox, but beside the powerful moments of the game, this model always seemed weird to me. I don't know, sometimes this model seemed so spaced that I'm out of the story, and this is exactly the same thing with this title screen. This is not the usual Kratos. He seems really emotionless and confused. Even if I criticize the music, this is still a cool soundtrack and the background is fantastic. The real problem to me is the face model that aged a lot, to say the least, but this is not a bad menu at all. There's really the God of War vibe in this menu, and I'm conscious that this is an old God of War game from the PSP, so I will give the advantage of the time to this menu. So I have to rank the Chains of Olympus title screen in the B tier. God of War 3. I absolutely adore this main menu. Everything is perfect here. The 3D model of Kratos is the best and the most detailed of all the title screens. His animation and facial movements are perfect. The music is certainly one of my favorite God of War soundtrack ever, as the feeling of hatred is enormous. Another point that I love on this menu is the background that is exceptional with the effects of the disaster that he provoked during the events of this game. The thunder and the flowing seas is such a fantastic and epic things to see in a title screen of a video game. This main menu is so good that we can even see the other skins of Kratos in this title screen. This menu is the perfect continuity and legacy of the two previous title screens. The hatred on his face is even more accentuated than the God of War 2 main menu. This title screen is literally perfect, and I'm sure that this is one of the most incredible of the history of the video games. So of course, God of War 3 is a perfect S tier in my opinion. God of War Ghost of Sparta. So this spin-off improved like almost every problems of the Chains of Olympus one in my opinion. The background that is the ravaged sea of the opening of the game is even more dynamic and intense than the Chains of Olympus background. The soundtrack is also awesome in my opinion, but the best aspect is obviously the model of Kratos that is fantastic and works wonderfully. The characteristic that I absolutely love in this title screen is that this is the only of the franchise with the left side of Kratos. This is the only that shows us the left side of his body, which is excellent and logical with the plot, knowing that this game is focused on his brother Deimos that was captured because of the gods. Kratos then decided to honor his kidnapped brother by tattooing his exact same marks on his body, revealing that he was in reality the real mortal of the prophecy. This is why we finally see the tattoo of Kratos in the screen title, and this is excellent in my opinion, because this detail is extremely important in the legacy of the other menu, but also with the story of this game. This is brilliant and a really welcome idea because this menu is even more symbolic and unique than the others, and this is really a pleasure. So yes, this is a really good main menu, but I can place this main menu higher because of the graphical limitations of the PSP that was already in the end of its life at the moment of the release of this game. I love the Ghost of Sparta model, but just imagine what we could have if this game was a standalone game like Ascension. I can't imagine how the result could have been incredible. So this is an excellent title screen in my opinion. A cheer for the Ghost of Sparta main menu. God of War Ascension. So the Ascension title screen is certainly the most unique of the God of War games, considering the fact that this is the only menu of all the old God of War games without the face of Kratos. Sincerely, I can understand that many people were disappointed that Kratos is missing here, especially with the Ascension 3D model of Kratos that is fantastic, but I'm glad that at least one God of War game has tried to be different concerning the title screen. At least here they tried a lot of things. They used the stones, which is a really cool concept in terms of creativity. The story mode of the game is the stone of the Deal of Kratos, which is a fantastic idea considering that this game is the first of the franchise in terms of chronology, so the deal he made with Ares is recent and meaningful in this game. It is true that I would have preferred to have the actual Kratos of the game in the menu with the statue of Apollo or another map in the background, but I still appreciate the actual menu. I love how they took responsibilities of their choice with this title screen, and I appreciate the decision they made. And talking about the choices, the soundtrack in this menu is so remarkable and epic. So I have to rank this one in the B tier, because at the contrary of the Olympus model of Kratos, the model of Ascension is fantastic and I would have really loved to see him here. God of War 2018. This title screen has been my first step to the God of War franchise. This Santa Monica Studio logo, this peaceful and beautiful lullaby of Faye was my first step in this wonderful franchise. With or without Kratos, I'm relaxed in this main menu. I want to play the game and explore the forest of Midgard. With this peaceful main menu, I want to discover again and again the amazing redemption of this formidable character. This title screen is certainly one of the most peaceful and relaxing menu ever made, and this is exactly why I love this title screen so much. There is such a contrast with the old games and with this title screen, and in a way this is logical because this is the evolution of the character of Kratos. He has a more calm and controlled anger in this game. He doesn't want to release it, but to harness it. This is why, even after all this resentment, he unleashed his anger in the first cutscene of the game. He is still the same morning man that we have in the title screen of God of War 1, only that this time the reality where he lives is completely different. He has now a son to educate and to love. He has the goal to spread the ashes of his dead wife, but even more than that, he has to love this world. He has to open his heart to this world and to the peoples who lives in this reality. He has to live this life with a heart of compassion like Faye did in the past. This is why the presence of the music of Faye is so powerful and palpable to me in this main menu, because Faye is the direct influence of Kratos to become a better person. Faye was not the only person to push Kratos to change and to become a better person, but she was the first in this game with the presence of this soundtrack on the menu. I have goosebumps talking about this, and yet this is just a menu with a forest of Midgard. I'm bound of this title screen. But this soundtrack is not the only aspect that I love. I also really appreciate the peaceful aspect of the forest of Wildwoods. I also love the presence of the totem of Kratos and Atreus, because there's already made of things like that in the box art of the game. So yeah, like you can see, this menu brings me an intense feeling in my heart, but I can totally understand that people don't appreciate this type of menu, but personally, I'm fascinated to how they completely changed and remodeled in a symbolic way their use of the God of War main menu. I'm at peace with this title screen like Kratos is at the end of the game, and I absolutely love that. So of course, I have to rank the God of War 2018 title screen in the S tier, God of War Ragnarök. Essentially, this menu is just so underwhelming in almost every aspect in my opinion. there is such a lack of interesting and important elements in this main menu. First of all, this is the only title screen of the God of War series without a soundtrack, which is in my opinion an enormous problem considering how important the soundtrack are in the other title screens. This choice is just so weird to me considering that Ragnarök has a fantastic catalog of incredible soundtracks. Just look, I'm not asking to have the enraged soundtrack of the old games, but I'm only asking to have a decent music or a lullaby or whatever you want. God of War 2018, like instance, don't have a powerful soundtrack like the old games, but at the contrary, we have a really soft and beautiful version of the Song of Faith, so why in the hell God of War Ragnarök is not capable to have at least one soundtrack of the game? So what is the explanation with the lack of single soundtrack in the Ragnarök menu? This is an important part of the identity of the series, so why is there no music? I truly don't get it, so if you have an explanation, I'm open to the answers. This title screen just looks so empty. We have absolutely nothing, and this is such a wasted potential because this game shows us the evolution of the character of Kratos and of the new identity of the series. There's literally no excuse considering that this game evolved a lot in the story. The world in the beginning and at the end of the game is completely different. So this main menu could have evolved or changed, but no, this title screen will forever be empty and depressive to the beginning to the end. So anyway, the location of this main menu is again not really interesting to me considering that this cave doesn't represent an important place of the game, but only the location of the first cutscenes of the game. Careful, this is not a flaw considering that 2018 works the same, but this cave is clearly not a setting that fascinates me each time I open the game. Talking about the cave, is the two arrows with a broken one are supposed to mean something? There's maybe a signification to this, but it is clear that if the arrow means something, this is really not intuitive. No, sincerely, I have nothing positive to say about this menu. Everything is just so empty in this title screen, and even if this is an artistic choice, what did they not simply choose to make different main menus considering how gigantic is the difference of the Norse mythology at the beginning of the game and at the end? There was an enormous potential to have maybe 2 or 3 alternative main menus with a lot of new details and elements as the story progressed, but no, from the beginning to the end we have this empty and impersonal menu, which is a volunteer that I again really don't understand. I would have loved so much to see an evolution on this title screen. This could have been new and refreshing for the franchise, but no, we will forever have this depressive menu for this game. So the God of War Ragnarök title screen is in the D tier. So as you can see, the main menus are an important aspect of the God of War games, but even more than that, the title screen are a big and iconic part of the identity of the franchise. This is the title screen that gives us the excitation to start the game and the epic journey with Kratos. This aspect of the franchise is fundamental, and I can't wait to see what they will prepare for the next games in terms of main menu, because I'm really curious about the result and the new visual ideas. So that's it for this video. Feel free to subscribe and to like the content and to activate the notification. For my case, I wish you a wonderful day. Goodbye, Spartans.